Today we're going to talk about solving quadratic equations. There are a few ways to do it. The first one that's going to be addressed in this video is solving by factoring. Okay. We have the zero property of multiplication, which lets us solve things that are factored and then equal zero. The zero property of multiplication says if a times b equals 0, then a equals 0 or b equals 0. This makes perfect sense. If we have two things that are being multiplied together and they equal 0, okay, so if, let's say, 3 times something equals 0, the only way that 3 times something can be 0 is if that something is 0, right? So if we have two things being multiplied together, they equal 0, one of the two things has to be 0. It's the only way. So either the first thing is 0 or the second thing is 0. Let's see how this helps us solve an equation. If we have this equation, x plus 2 times x minus 5 equals 0, then we can use the property to tell us that if we have two things being multiplied together and they equal 0, either the first thing is 0 or the second thing is 0. Okay, so that helps us split this more complicated problem into two simpler problems we know how to solve. So either x equals -2 or x equals 5. There we go, we got our answers. Let's do another one. What if we have three things being multiplied together and they equal 0? Then one of the three has to be 0. Either 2 minus 9 equals 0, or 3r plus 5 equals 0, or r plus 3 equals 0. One of those has to be true. Then we can solve each one separately. 2r equals 9. R would have to be 9/2. 3r equals -5. R would have to be -5/3. Or r is -3. Okay, so we can solve each one of these separately to get our three solutions. Okay, let's try this one. Can we solve this one by factoring? Can we use the zero property of multiplication and say that 2r squared has to be 5 or 9r has to be 5? No, there's several things wrong with that. First of all, it's the zero property of multiplication. So that means zero property of multiplication, that our equation has to equal 0 for this to work. Our equation right now doesn't equal 0, it equals 5. Another thing is that our equation has to have multiplication in the middle. This has addition. So can we maybe rearrange this a little bit so that we can use the property? Let's try. First of all, let's set it equal to 0. We know that is a problem, so let's go ahead, start there, try to fix that. Okay, we're going to subtract 5 from both sides, and now we have it equal to 0. Okay, next, let's try to factor this so we can have something times something equals 0, because that's the format of the zero property, something times something. So we're going to put a 2r here and an r here, and maybe a +5 and a -1, so that way we can have 10r minus r would be 9r. That works out. Okay, good. We have this times this. 2r minus 1 times r plus 5 equals 0. So we can say from the zero property of multiplication that 2r minus 1 equals 0 or r plus 5 equals 0. Okay, so then we can solve this equation, get that r is 1/2 or r is -5. Great.